Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to continue with slope-intercept form. So we have three steps here. First of all, we're going to three steps to writing an equation. First of all, we're going to identify the slope m. So we need to find our slope m first. We can use our slope formula to calculate the slope if we know 2 points on the line. Then we're going to find the y-intercept. So we find the y-intercept by substituting the slope and the coordinates x and y on the line into y equals mx plus b, and then we can solve for b. Finally, 3, we're going to write the equation using y equals mx plus b. So if we take a look at this first problem, it says write an equation of the line that passes through the given point and has the given slope m. So we're given this slope, our slope is m. So we know that if we have y equals mx plus b, we know that our slope is going to be -4, or our m is going to be -4. Now, what we're given is a point, and when we're given a point, we know that we have an x and we have a y. So what we're going to do to find b is plug in these points for x and y. So x is -1, so instead of my x, I'm going to have a -1. And instead of y, I'm going to have 3. So what we're looking for then is b. So we have to solve for b. Now, I know that -4 times -1 is going to give us 4 plus b equals 3. To solve for b, I got to get b by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4 because 4 is positive. 3 minus 4 gives us -1. So b equals -1. Then our equation will look like y equals, we said that our slope was -4, x, and then we said b was -1. So our slope is y equals -4x minus 1. Here again, we know that we have a x and a y. And we know that our slope is 1/3. So if we start with y is -4 equals our slope, which is 1/3. Then our x is 5. So we don't know our b yet, though. So what we need to do is find our b. So what we have to do is do 1/3 times 5, which gives us about 1.65, plus b equals -4. I'm going to subtract 1.65 from -4, which is going to give us a -5.65 equals b. So our new equation then is y equals 1/3 x minus 5.65. Alright, now we're given 2 points. So the first thing we have to do is find the slope. So we can use our slope formula, which is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So here's our x1, our y1, our x2, and our y2. So y2 is -1 minus y1, which is 5, over x2, which is 2, minus a negative 2. So what we get then is negative 1 minus 5, which gives us negative 6, over 2 plus 2, because two negatives in a row make a plus sign. So 2 plus 2 gives us 4. In simplest form then, that is a negative 3 over 2, or negative 1.5. So this is our slope. So we know that y equals negative 1.5x plus b. So what we need to do then is find the y-intercept. It says we can substitute the slope and the coordinates of a point, so x or y, into our equation. So I'm going to pick 2, negative 1. I'm going to put 2 in for x, so negative 1.5 times 2 equals negative 1 for y plus b. Negative 1.5 times 2 gives us a negative 3 plus b equals negative 1. To find b, we need to add 3. So we get b equals negative 1 plus 3, so that's 2. So our equation then is going to look like y equals negative 1.5x plus 2. We're going to do the same thing over here. Our 1 is going to be our x1, and our negative 2 is going to be y1. Negative 5 is x2, 4 is y2. So we have 4 minus a negative 2 over negative 5 minus 1. Now, two negatives in a row, we can make a plus. So 4 plus 2 is 6. Negative 5 minus 1, that is a negative 6. So 6 divided by negative 6 gives us negative 1. So now I'm going to pick one of my points to put into my equation. I think I'm going to put 1, negative 2 in there. So for y is negative 2 equals negative 1 times 1 plus b. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1 equals negative 2 plus b. We're going to add 1 to both sides, and we get b equals negative 2 plus 1, which is negative 1. So our equation then is going to be y equals, we said that m was negative 1, so negative 1 x minus 1, because negative 1 is also our b. Alright, this one says write an equation of the line shown. So we see a line here. What we need to do first is we need to find our slope. Step 1 is always find the slope. So slope is rise over run. My rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1, 2. 6 over 2, or 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our m equals 3. So now we need to take one of our points and our slope and put it into our equation. So we'll have y equals 3x plus b. So I'm going to pick negative 2, 2. That's going to be the point that I put in. Negative 2 is going to be the x, 2 is going to be the y. So we'll have 2 equals 3 times negative 2 plus b. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 equals 2 plus b plus 6 plus 6. 2 plus 6 is 8 equals b. So our b equals 8, so our equation then is y equals 3x plus 8. If we go down here, we got to do the same thing. We're going to find our slope by counting our rise over run. This line is going negative, so we're going to count down 1, 2. So our m equals negative 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4. That simplifies down to negative 1/2. So now we can put that into our equation. I'm going to use 1, 0 because we have a 0 in here, and that's an easy number to use. So 0 is our y, 1 is our x. So y is 0 equals a negative 1/2 times 1 plus 8, plus b. Negative 1/2 times 1 is negative 1/2 equals 0 plus b. Now it's the negative 1/2, so I'm going to add 1/2 to both sides. So 0 plus 1/2 is 1/2 equals b. So our new equation then is y equals a negative 1/2 x plus 1/2. Alright, if we take a look at this one, we have to write an equation for the linear function. So what we're going to look for first are the 2 points. Now remember that this is f of x. And this is also f of x. Now if we're looking for a point, we need an x and a y. So if this is x, then we're going to line up this x with our negative 2, and that's going to be our x. So negative 2 is our first x, which means that negative 2 then is also our y. Here our x is 4, and our y is negative 8. So those are our 2 points. We need to find our slope. This is x1, y1, x2, and y2. So what we do then is negative 8 minus a negative 2 over 4 minus a negative 2. We can make both of these pluses because there's 2 negatives in a row. Negative 8 plus 2 gives us negative 6. 4 plus 2 gives us 6. So negative 6 divided by 6 gives us negative 1. So negative 1 is our m. Now I'm going to pick one of these points. I think I'm going to pick the negative 2, negative 2. And I'm going to put that into our equation. Our y is negative 2 equals negative 1, which is our m, times negative 2 plus b. Negative 1 times negative 2 gives us a positive 2 equals negative 2 plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides. Negative 2 minus 2 is a negative 4. Negative 4 equals b. So our equation then is y equals negative 1x minus 4. Alright, now what I want you guys to do is I want you to pause the video and try this one on your own. Remember, we're looking for our equation y equals mx plus b, and then use these to help you in solving this. First find the 2 points, then the slope, then the y-intercept, then write the equation. Alright, now we have to write an equation that represents the linear function shown in the table or the mapping diagram. So, looks to me like we have x and f of x. So remember, f of x is a fancy way of saying y. So this is our x and our y. We're going to take 2 points out of these. First one, our x is 1. So 1. And our y is negative 1. That's 1 point. Second point I'm going to take is 0 and 1. So 0, 1. So here we have our x1, y1, x2, y2. y2 is 1 minus a negative 1 over 0 minus 1. Make that a plus. 1 plus 1 is 2. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So our slope then is a negative 2. Now we take whichever point we want and put that into our equation. Remember, y equals mx plus b. Our negative 2 is our m. So I'm going to take this equation, 0, 1, because it has a 0, and a 0 is easy to work with. Our y is going to be 1 equals m, which we found to be negative 2, times 0, which is our x, plus b. Now this one's easy. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, so we don't need that anymore. What we're left with is 1 equals b, or b equals 1. So our equation then is y equals negative 2x plus 1. Here we're going to pick 2 points, find the slope, and find the y-intercept. So the points that I'm going to pick are negative 2 and negative 1 and 0, 0. So negative 2, negative 1, and 0, 0. If I make my slope equation, we have 0 minus a negative 1 and 0 minus a negative 2. Make these both plus. 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 2 is 2. So 1/2 is our m. Now, we don't even need to solve for the y-intercept, because if we look at our graph, we can easily figure out what it is. We found that here our y is 0. If our y is 0, that's where it crosses. If our x is 0 and our y is 0, that's where it crosses our y-axis. So our y-intercept is 0. So our equation then is y equals 1/2 x plus 0, or just y equals 1/2 x. Alright, now we need to decide whether these 3 points lie on the same line. Explain how we know. If the points do lie on the same line, write an equation of the line that passes through all 3 points. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take and find the slope of these points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the x1, the y1, and then I'll make this my second point. So this will be the x2, and this will be the y2. So I'll take negative 8 minus 7 equals negative 2 minus 3. So we get negative 8 minus 7, which gives us negative 15, over negative 2 minus 3, which gives us negative 5. Negative 15 divided by 5 gives us 3. Our slope for these two is 3. Now I'm going to take 2 more points, or I'm going to pick 2 more. So I'm going to pick, since this already has x2, or this already has x1 and y1, I'm just going to make this one x2 and y2. So instead of these numbers, I'm going to use these numbers now. So negative 19 is our y2, minus 7, and 7 minus 3. Negative 19 minus 7 gives us negative 26. 7 minus 3 gives us 4. I can simplify this to negative 13 over 2. I can't simplify it anymore. Now these two slopes are different, which means that these 3 points cannot lie on the same line. If they did, they would all have the same slope. So these are not on a line. Slopes are different. Alright, pause the video and try this next one. See if you can figure out whether these 3 points are on the same line. Remember, if they are on the same line, they'll have the same slopes, all 3 of them. Alright, last problem. We're going to solve this multi-step problem. It says, your gym membership costs $33 per month after an initial membership fee. You paid a total of $228 after 6 months. Write an equation that gives the total cost as a function of the length of your gym membership in months. Find the total cost after 9 months. Well, first of all, we need to think, what is changing? What isn't changing? Well, usually what does change is our M. So what is changing in this problem is our cost is going to be $33 per month. Depending on how many months we have, that would change. It would be more money for more months. What isn't changing is that we have to always pay an initial membership fee. So the initial membership fee is B. So our B is the initial membership fee. Now it says you paid a total of $228 after 6 months. So what doesn't change is that we paid $228 after 6 months. So our point then is going to be 6, because months are M, and 228. That's our point. 6, 228. If we write this like a equation, y equals mx plus b, we need to think, what's our m? Well, our m is the thing that changes. So we have $33 per month. So our equation then would be y equals 33 x plus b. Now if we came up with our point 6 and 228, the 6 is going to be our x, and the y will be the 228. So we can put that into our equation to find b. So our y then changes to 228 equals 33 times 6 plus b. Now 33 times 6, if we do that problem, we get 198 equals 228 plus b. Subtract 198 from both sides. And our b equals 30. So our new equation then, we found that our slope was 33. Our new equation is going to be y equals 33x plus 30, because our b is 30. Now it says find the total cost after 9 months. Well, what did we determine that our months was? Well, we determined our months was our x. So, because we're paying $33 per month, so we have y equals 33 times 9 plus 30. So 33 times 9 gives us 297 plus 30. That's going to give us 327. So y equals 327. It costs $327 to go there, to go to our gym for 9 months.